All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I thought I'd give my initial early thoughts on UFC 316 and kind of compare it to the upcoming and past pay-per-views. And yeah, let's get into it. So, main event, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. The fight no one's been asking for. A lot of people have an issue with Sean O'Malley getting the title shot, me included. However, if you put yourself in Sean O'Malley's position, would you A, take a higher paying possible championship opportunity? Well, not possible, but if you win, you get a championship, or fight a nightmare matchup, up and coming contender, and possibly lose your title shot indefinitely. I mean, it's a no brainer, you know what I mean? So the fans can resent Sean O'Malley all they want, but if you have a problem, take it up with the UFC because they're the ones who offer these fights, so it is what it is. And Merab's kind of cleaning out the division. I feel like you look at the odds for this fight, minus 325 for Merab, plus 260 for O'Malley. I feel like the odds makers aren't really eating up what O'Malley's saying. It's like, oh yeah, I quit all this, all these bad habits, blah, blah, blah. I'm so much more focused and all that. But at the end of the day, I just feel like it's truly a nightmare stylistic matchup for O'Malley. And as much as you can train all this wrestling and all these takedown defense and grappling and all that, you're never going to account for the lifetime and you're never going to catch up for the lifetime of wrestling that Merab has. And it's just his pace, his cardio. I honestly think it's somewhat genetic. I feel like O'Malley can train as much as he wants. I still think Merab will kind of like, maybe not dominate him, but just like be in control the whole time and kind of drown him with the wrestling. And not only that, the promotion for this card has been somewhat abysmal as well. And O'Malley's probably thinking like, oh, why should I even care? Why should I try? Because I'm not getting any pay-per-view money from this. But I don't think that's the right way to look at it because the fans haven't seen you since last time you fought Merab. And I just feel like at least put in a little bit of excitement and enthusiasm into the press conference and stuff. Because if you remember, they did a pre-fight press conference a while ago. And just Sean O'Malley's just very nonchalant, like one or two word answers and just, yeah, you don't think I deserve it, don't watch, no, don't care. Like, I don't know. I just think it's the wrong way to look at it because especially if he loses, the fans will be like, damn, he didn't even like show up to the fight. He lost. And then, he's just kind of boring on the mic. So like, what's the point of even watching? So that's the thing. O'Malley, it's really, a lot of people are saying it's do or die. I agree in the sense of like, I feel like if he loses this, especially by the way I think it will, this will have a giant, devastating impact on his fan base. And I like Sean O'Malley. I don't want to see that happen, but I mean, it is what it is. That's the thing. Sean O'Malley said he's not injured anymore, so, and he had a torn hip, and that's why he couldn't wrestle as well. But I don't know. I can't see Sean O'Malley winning. I shouldn't say that. Like, he could obviously snipe him like he did Aljamain, but I don't know. I'm doubtful because the only success of Sean O'Malley really had was a few knees during the fight, but they didn't really do that much. And then he landed the body shot at the end. And Merab in an interview he already said that, like, yeah, I just have to clean up my body defense and, maybe go for a bit more takedowns. And obviously he said that, yeah, I'm going to try to strike with O'Malley, which everyone knows that's complete bullshit. He's just going to drown him like usual. And coming from a person who like wants to be a fan of Merab, and that's the thing, I respect Merab, especially for taking the Umar fight. I've said this before and I said this again. If you're this dominant on the ground, like this dominant, where you're just ragdolling the guy, sub him. Or at least TKO ground and pound. You know what I mean? I get you're a better wrestler, and I get his style as a relentless pressure wrestler, but I don't know. Am I wrong for wanting a submission for such dominance? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It is what it is. I get O'Malley's not easy to put away, but I don't know. I feel like Merab, if he submits O'Malley, he'll get a lot more than just, a classic, takedown, 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 little punches, takedown, takedown. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this fight, if Merab wins, it's not going to really do much for his stock because he already did beat Sean O'Malley and people don't really care about the excuses he made. And yeah, I feel like the only way that Merab can truly win the fans would be a submission because, he's not going to knock him out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would just like a submission because we've already seen that Merab can dominate him. So let's try something new. And then, yeah, next we got Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. I mean, I'm not really excited for that. They have been trash talking a lot, and I guess if you're into that kind of stuff, then by all means. But that fight doesn't really do much for me. Kayla Harrison's at a minus 625. I think the odds makers are pretty sold on Kayla. And Juliana Pena, from what I remember, she's not really active. So, if you're a fan of the women's 35 division, it would be nice to have an active champion in Kayla. So, I mean, there you go, I guess. Moving on. Calvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Hot take, I feel like this is going to be fight of the night. Because for as long as Joe Pyfer's gas tank will permit him, I feel like this is going to be a war. Because Calvin Gastelum is a dog, and that's the thing. The odds makers have Joe Pyfer at minus 380, which, I mean, that's pretty generous because Calvin Gastelum isn't. He's not looked great in his past few fights, and he does belong in 170, but that being said, he got ragdolled by Sean Brady, who is Joe Pyfer's teammate. So Sean Brady will probably give him the ins and outs and the tips and tricks how to deal with Gastelum, and Joe Pyfer probably has 20 times the amount of knockout power in his punches. So yeah, this for as long as it'll last, I think it's going to be a war. And like I said, fight of the night written all over it. And yeah, I guess we'll just see how Joe Pyfer's cardio goes. And yeah, that'll be a really, really intense fight. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then we got Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. And looking at it, I don't really know much about Patchy Mix, but because I don't really watch any other promotions aside from the UFC. But the streets hate Mario Batista, especially for his recent performance and what he did to Aldo. And I feel like if Patchy Mix can make quick work or dominate him, that's a huge boost in followers and fan base for him. And yeah, I just feel like it's... And that's the thing. I like how Patchy Mix, he's coming in to number 10. That's what I said. I don't think anyone coming outside of the UFC should get top 5. Top 10, fine, for sure. I'll deal with that. Because the UFC nerves and jitters are real. And let's say if Patchy Mix passes this test with flying colors, by all means, give him a top 5 for sure. But yeah, Patchy Mix has the opportunity of a lifetime because you see anyone who comes from out of the UFC into the UFC, if they have a really good performance, their followers like explode. And yeah, it's just nothing but uphill for him if he wins. And from a lot of people who train with Patchy Mix, it sounds like he's really, really good. And yeah, hopefully we win or he wins and a new star is born in 135. So yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. And then yeah, Kevin Holland versus Vicente Luque. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Luque is plus 210. Kevin Holland's minus 250. I feel like if Vicente Luque is going to win, I feel like it'll probably be by decision or submission. And then if Kevin Holland's going to win, I feel like he's going to pick him apart at range. Probably drop him once or twice. If I had to pick, I'd say probably Kevin Holland. I don't know, especially that brain bleed that Vicente Luque had. I just don't trust him to get in these wars anymore. And yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. Especially like hearing that it's real scary, man. I get fight or the fight game's obviously incredibly dangerous, but serious injuries like that, it's just, I don't know, man. And then yeah, that's about it for the main card. And then overall, I'd give this card probably a solid 6-ish, maybe 6.5. I don't know. It's just none of these fights are really like, what? No way! Obviously in hindsight, Patchy Mix could be a huge star. And then if Sean O'Malley knocks out Merab, that'd be crazy. But on paper, yeah, I'd give this card probably around a 6. However, comparing that to UFC 315, UFC 315 would... I'd give that probably a solid 4. Before they watched the fight, people were going to think that Bilal Muhammad was going to dominate him, ragdoll him, so there's really no anticipation. The build-up was dead. And yeah, and then Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot, I don't think really anyone was really excited for that. And then Jose Aldo, but I mean, he's not exactly in his prime anymore. And yeah, there was really zero hype for that card. However, you look at UFC 314. UFC 314, you got Volk, Diego Lopez, Chandler, Pimblett, Yair, Pitbull, Gene Silva, Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva, Bryce Mitchell, That was a promotion's dream. I'd give that one a solid 8.5, 100%. That's the thing. It'd be a 9 maybe if it had like another championship level fight on it. But yeah, no, that was a sick card. 8.5 easily. And then yeah, you got UFC 317 upcoming. It's all right, I suppose. Like it has Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. I'm really excited for that fight for as long as it's gonna last. But as far as on paper, like Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano, I just don't think that's really, like going to be a bar burner. They're both kind of old. Renato had his chance at the belt and, went how it went. Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France, it is what it is. Like it'll be a great fight, I suppose, but there's just not a lot of hype on that. There's not a lot of build up. And that's the thing as well with Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. Charles is so respectful, and I just don't think there's going to be a really intense, maybe like rivalry, like as far as like competitively, but I don't know. I'd give this one a solid, maybe a 7. I'd say, yeah, this card probably a 7, just because it does have 2 title fights on it, and the undercard's not terrible. Like it's got Costa versus Kopylov. That'll be a decent fight. Jack Hermanson versus RoboCop. That'll be cool too. Royval versus Cap, I guess, in case someone pulls out of the Pantoja Kai Kara-France one, so they have a good fight there. They're both highly ranked as well. Cap is 6, Royval is number 1. That'll be a good fight, but as far as like anticipation and like real hype and build up, like I said, yeah, maybe a 7. So that's the thing. And they're still building the Dricus versus Chimaev one, and then Poirier versus Holloway. That needs a lot of work. And apparently it was just like a preview that they showed on Twitter, so I can't get too mad about it. But yeah, overall, I feel like it'll be decent. And yeah, like and subscribe. And those are my thoughts on these upcoming pay-per-views on 316. See you guys on the next one.